These are the images that I showed in class on Wednesday night. So I'll just run through them relatively quickly. This is one of many images of Odysseus's men blinding Polyphemus, the 6th century cup. It's at the bottom of a wine cup, apparently. See here, he's got a wine tankard because they made him drunk first. He's holding the legs and feet, the shins and feet of presumably one of the companions of Odysseus whom he's eaten. There's a decorative snake up here, which pretty much seems to refer to deceit, deceitfulness. And yeah, that's about it for that one. Blinding of Polyphemus is another version of it. The Greeks doing the blinding are wearing travelers' caps. And on the right-hand side, there's a different panel showing the preparation of these. So they're hardening the wooden spear here that they used to blind him. This is a famous 19th century painting by J.M.W. Turner of the same idea of the escape, not the blinding. It's called the Ulysses, that is Odysseus, deriding Polyphemus, the part of the story where Odysseus says, "Ha, my name's not nobody. My name is Ulysses, son of Laertes," which gives this sort of dark shape here the opportunity to curse him to his father Poseidon. This is another version of it, except in sculpture, in a cave on the west coast of Italy, between Naples and Rome. So enough of it has survived that you can see what's going on. Okay. We have a lot of versions of the Greeks escaping on the underside of rams, the rams that go with the flock of Polyphemus. You see him sort of bending over here to talk to the ram that's usually the first one, but in this case is the last one out. And so he talks to him. You see that the vase is broken here, and they've just filled it in with a stray blank piece. But you can just see the arm holding a sword that you can just see here of the Greek who's underneath it. Sort of optimistic to think that you could actually hide a human being under an adult male underneath a ram, but there you go, it's mythology. A little pendant showing the same thing, and an early vase painting with a very, very, very long-bodied ram. Doesn't really look like a ram. And another one where the ram looks a lot like a cow, come to think of it. But hard to figure how Polyphemus would have missed somebody who's strapped underneath with these straps here. Okay. Here is a scene from the underworld where Circe has told Odysseus he must go to the underworld and get advice from Tiresias. This is just one of his companions with these little cone-shaped hats. Odysseus is here. There's nothing really distinctive about Odysseus. So apart from the scene, the context, you really can't tell who he is. He's holding a knife for sacrificing, and you just see one of the corpses of the rams whose blood he sacrificed to the dead to lure them up to the surface, the Earth's surface. And you see just the beginning of Tiresias coming up to advise Ulysses or Odysseus. Okay. This is one of several vase paintings of Circe feeding drugs, enchanted drink to Odysseus's men and turning them into various animals. Some are pigs, some are other things, but it's easier to just say they turned them all into pigs because, but they weren't all pigs. Okay. Here's just a sculpture of a siren. The only things that tell you she's a siren is the thing that she's holding is gone, but she was probably holding a lyre, for example, or on a percussion instrument. She has wings. She's a she because of, well, her torso is female. But below the thighs, she has bird-like appendages. So that's the only way to figure that out. Plus the things she doesn't have in her hands anymore. Here's the next one. Odysseus strapped to the mast. His men can't hear anything. They've got wax in their ears, beeswax. And there are three very bird-like sirens, the three, there are supposed to be three of them. Okay. This is by far the most famous vase painting of Odysseus and the sirens. This is a mosaic, a Roman mosaic that shows Odysseus being sung to by the three sirens, one of whom is holding a flute-like instrument, it looks like. I'd have to check, but oh, I see, it is a flute-like instrument. Here's the first half and there's the second half. If flutes, and what we would call a flute is really more like an oboe, with one side of it playing drone notes and the other side playing a melody. They would just stick both of them in your mouth at the same time. Okay. This is Penelope. She's not doing anything at the moment, but she's sitting in front of a loom. This would be a loom. She's weaving a burial shroud for Odysseus, and she's promised to marry one of the suitors when it's finished, except she weaves it during the day and then unravels what she's done at night. So she never quite finishes it. So it's the combination of the loom and the female figure here looking mournful that makes us think it's Penelope and the famous loom. This is a part I'm going to talk a little bit about on next Wednesday. Odysseus shooting arrows at the suitors, and two females look pretty young, but one of them is probably Eurycleia, the nurse, and the other is Penelope. You can see how the bow has the tips at either end are bent forward. So it has more force that way because it's more. It takes more energy to pull back the bow, and so there's more energy on the release too. This is a 19th century, late 19th century picture of the sirens with 7 sirens not playing musical instruments, but sort of surrounding Odysseus, who's roped to the mast. Here's another one of these with 3 sirens, and Odysseus apparently lashed to a mast, but you can't really, it's not very well drawn, so you can't actually see why he just seems to be an extremely tall and upright Odysseus. Uh, this is a much later one where you actually see them with musical instruments. Only two of them. I don't know where the third has got to. Probably just not on this side. And Odysseus is, for a change, lashed face forward to the mast, not face outward. So she has a lyre here, this one, the one to the right. The one to the left has this, a kind of a portable drum, like a tympanum, that you just strike with your hand. Here is the recognition scene, one of two or three, where Eurycleia, the nurse, washes Odysseus' feet. He's disguised by Athena, disguises him as a beggar. And she recognizes who he is by a distinctive scar on his foot, which is a little dubious. But all these scenes in Greek tragedy and Greek myth, recognition scenes, they're not very convincing. But here is a scene probably from a comedy or a satyr play, where Odysseus is looking sort of paunchy and not very attractive, has a sword out to threaten Circe, who charmingly has her own loom set up there. And she has a huge cup, which he's trying to get him to drink. And what he's holding here is the molly root. That's what they called it, but they're pretty sure it's an actual plant that does, if you eat it, does disrupt neural connections, so it can make you have hallucinations. Okay, and this is the same theme, except not funny. Odysseus with a sword and a Circe with her hands out, and you can tell that that's what's going on because this is a guy with I guess that's a pig head, standing nearby. So 22, this is an image of Odysseus who washed up naked on the island owned by the Phaeacians, who take him in and feed him dinner and ask him to sing a song about his travels. So it's nude. Odysseus, Athena, his protector, and if you could turn the vase around a little bit, you would see there are two females who are moving away and looking back. And Nausicaa is the daughter of the Phaeacian king, and becomes quite enchanted with Odysseus because she saw him nude. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let's just skip this one. More scenes of escape under very large rams. And I kind of like this one. There's one siren playing the flute. And we always think of the sirens as singing, but their music is the thing that lures people inland too close to the shore and wreck their ships. So it's Odysseus chained to the mast, roped to the mast. And to remind you that it's a sea voyage, there's a large fish or maybe a dolphin there. And this is just a slightly better image of one I showed you before. In this one, you can see that it's not so badly drawn. There's a lot of detail in the sirens standing on a cliff. There's a big chunk out of the middle. This is just a blank spot where they couldn't. Many of these vases were not found intact. They were found in pieces, but they're fired at such a high temperature, it's very difficult to grind them into dust. The chunks pretty much stay intact. So they can put these back together. except for the parts they couldn't find a piece to. Okay. What's only thing that's weird about this is I don't know what these arms are. I don't understand. But I'll look it up. Maybe there's a reason. Okay, so that's it. I'll put a copy of this up on the website